I would like to ask you how much of the original show did you keep, and in what aspects it's different from the one that the audience knows?
I think, as far as what aspects we decided to keep, I think the thing that we really loved about the original is what a special concept it was. This 16-year-old prodigy genius who's a doctor, but yet still figuring out how to be a teenager is so compelling and interesting. And one of the things that was so great about the original was Neil Patrick Harris. And when we started casting the show, we had a lot of conversations about what we were looking for in our Doogie. And in looking back at Neil's performance, one of the things that's so great about Neil is he has almost like an old soul. As an adult, when you watch that original, you identify with him and you feel for him in such a way. And that was something that we knew we wanted to find in our Doogie. And when we had Peyton come to us and we started working with her through the audition process, it became so clear that she had that same quality of, she pulls you into her performance. When she's a doctor in those scenes, you believe she's a doctor. And yet in the next scene, when she's fighting with her mom for the keys to the car, you also feel for her and believe she's a teenager struggling with those real life issues. And so when we found Peyton and working with her, she is such a gift to the show. And we're so excited for audiences to see her performance and to meet this character because she brings so much to it.
Sure. I think that's exactly right. The concept brings this opportunity to explore a coming of age story in a really different way. And I think that while the character in both the original, Neil's character in the original and Peyton's character here, they have this, sort of rarefied, unusual experience of being these prodigies living in an adult world. But that becomes a vehicle for exploring a lot of really universal stuff, I think, that teenagers go through, which are, because for everyone, really, that's a period where you're trying to figure out where you belong in the adult world. And so it gives you this sort of heightened lens to look at all of those issues. And like Kourtney says, it's, the whole thing is entirely dependent on who is playing that character. And from the get-go, we sort of knew that the success of this endeavor would rely really on whether we could find somebody who could fill the enormous shoes and expectation that Neil set in the original series. You can't think about the original Doogie Howser. You can't think about Doogie Howser without thinking about Neil. It was the performance that started his incredible journey. And his identity and what he brought to that, it defines what that show was. So we knew that they were really big shoes to fill. And we were obviously thrilled when we found an actress who we identified pretty immediately could really be all of the many things that we need Lahela to be. And along those lines, her, as we got to know her and explore the character with her, she started to inform the kinds of stories we wanted to tell with her, what sorts of colors we wanted to explore on this character, and what kinds of dilemmas and conflicts we could put her into. And so it becomes this great sort of feedback loop where you're creating something for the character, and then the actress is sort of telling you more about what the character should be.
Yeah, it started happening on set a little bit too, because she is 16 years old, or was at the time of shooting, and everybody else was older than her. And it just sort of, this weird sort of art imitating actual real life, or because we did it, her life started mimicking it too. And it was very additive in a really cool way.
what about the change of location? Why did you choose to set it in Hawaii?
Well, I was born in Hawaii and I always wanted to do a show there. And for me, I grew up watching the original Doogie Howser. And I also grew up loving TV, but there weren't a lot of shows with families that looked like mine. And so I've always wanted to do a show that was like my family. You know, my dad's Korean, lived in Hawaii his whole life. My mom's an Irish Catholic girl from Pennsylvania. And I have two brothers, and we're sort of this mixed race family. And when we're in Hawaii, we're like so many other families there. And when we're in Pennsylvania, we're sort of a little bit different from other folks there. And so it was really exciting for me to set this family in Hawaii and really explore the culture and what it's like to live there and be a family there. You know, there's a lot of, you know, shows and things that shoot in Hawaii, and it's more backdrop to things. And one of the things that we really wanted to do with this show is dive more into these characters and put that forth. It's one of the things I'm most excited about if we're able to do a season 2, is to dive more into, you know, stories about Hawaii and about what it's really like living there. Our crew was all local folks who came together and, you know, helped us make this show as authentic and true to this family's experience that we could do. And so shooting it in Hawaii was such a joy and a gift to us. And it was so wonderful to be there and work with the amazing crew that we had working there with us.